Excel offers multiple techniques for printing a worksheet. The current worksheet has about 700 rows. If you're not familiar with any printing features, you might have discovered that on the File tab in the ribbon, if you click File, you do see a choice, Print. This gives you a preview of what's about to be printed, and I would strongly suggest don't immediately print. First thing to look for might be at the bottom here. You'll see we're seeing page 3 of 35. Now, if you're working with that many rows, 35 pages sounds like a lot. So what's going on here? If you start using the mouse wheel, you can scroll through this list. Just click on the preview and start scrolling. And eventually what you would see here is that Excel is picking up the data in chunks and probably in a way that you wouldn't want it to do. So let's escape from here. We will return to this page from time to time. If you want to see a print preview and you want to get to it frequently, you don't really see a button in the ribbon menu system that provides that. So here's a suggestion. In the Quick Access toolbar, the rightmost button, the one that has the line and the drop arrow, you can customize this. And if you simply click that drop arrow, you'll see a choice called Print Preview and Print. And that button gives us a quick print preview. We're back to this screen momentarily. We can escape from here or press the left arrow to return to the worksheet environment in Excel. Recognize this Page Layout tab has options related to printing. But there's also the term Page Layout to refer to a button in the lower right-hand corner in the status bar. Normally, you're viewing Excel using this button, and you might not yet have seen a Page Layout button. Let's click this. Now, here's a different way to view a worksheet ready to be printed. You can use the zoom bar in the lower right-hand corner to zoom back a little bit. This perhaps gives you a better sense of how this data is likely to appear if you were to print it right now. And I think you would probably agree, looking at what we're seeing here, you want to make some changes. Maybe you don't want to print the data that's appearing here. And what page is that on? As we scroll downward, we see that it's on page 18, and there's a page 19, and so on. So many times, and particularly working with large amounts of data, the page layout screen helps you see better what you're about to see on the printed page if you were to print right now. So we could make some choices both here in the page layout portion of the screen and also in the page layout portion of the ribbon up above. And sometimes it's a little bewildering as to where to start. If we were to print this information now, we would also see the file name, that's 06-printing, at the top here. If you don't want to see the file name at the top, you can click on the name and you'll see a symbol indicating file. You could replace the file name with many other options. For example, you might want to print the date or the time. So up above, you'll see a choice called current date, possibly that. You could add the time as well too. You might want to put a page number in the upper left corner or the right corner, and these will be on every single page. So maybe you want a page number on the left-hand side. So click there and put in page number. Now that too puts in a funny looking icon or a symbol. It's not exactly obvious, but if you click in the worksheet below, you'll see what it's done. It's put in the number 1. If you want to change that to include the word page, click back in there, put the word page followed by a space in there, and then click back in worksheet area below this to see how that will appear. So you can make changes as you wish here. And you may or may not want to include the file name, but that's another option up here. Also a sheet name and some other suggestions here too. The Page Layout tab in the ribbon is ideal for controlling some of the heading and footing features that you want to see. Now keep in mind there are other approaches here too. What if before printing this you decide that you really don't want to see some of that data off to the right? You might leave the page layout view in the lower right-hand corner, come back to normal, and then select the data that you really do want to see. In other words, you could highlight the data this way. Now this is about 700 rows, so this might take a little bit of time, but possibly you could use a shortcut of Control-A. That selects this entire contiguous area. And then what if we go back to page layout and choose print area, set print area. That's another possibility. How's that print preview looking now? We can go to that print preview button that we've installed in the Quick Access toolbar. See how that's looking. It still might not have done much in terms of total number of pages as we scroll down here, the right-hand side. And you see how it's spilling onto other pages as well. So once again, back into the regular worksheet environment, we could make some other changes as well. And one of the points I want to make in this particular portion is the idea that you have to be a little bit patient with the idea that printing isn't always as fast as you want it to be. And almost anybody who works with printing has had that situation where he or she has suddenly ended up with 40 pages of pretty much junk. In other words, you're printing way too much. And sometimes it helps to print just a sample area. Suppose we did want to print just information here regarding the people in the ADC department and in the training group. We might select the data, just this data right here, and then go to print area, set print area. Now if we look at our preview, remember we could do this by way of the file command, but also slightly faster with this print preview button. We'll see how that's looking. And that may or may not be what we want it to look like because it's spilling onto 2 pages. I'm using the mouse wheel to show page 2 here. So we can make a quick adjustment either on this screen or back in page layout, changing this from portrait orientation to landscape orientation. And it looks as if that fits it on the page. It still might not look the way you want, so possibly you will escape or go back into page layout and maybe consider making some changes with margins. And maybe you want to use narrower margins. Let's see how that looks with the print preview. Or possibly wider margins. In other words, there's a lot of different features that you might want to explore on this page layout tab. And after working with this a bit and controlling the orientation and the margins and so on, you might eventually at some point say, I'm ready to print. Go to the File tab and then choose Print. And then from here we can print as many copies as you might need to your appropriate printer.